Hi again, moms and dads. Today, Parental Alienation Survival Coach brings you another video in the series on grief. If you'll recall from previous videos, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. Those are the 5 phases of grief. And those are from Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who I studied when I was in nursing school. She did a lot of research on death and dying. In fact, that was the name of her book. And there are plenty of other psychologists that have similar lists as well. So the 5 stages do not have to be experienced in that order: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. You may feel them in a little bit of a different order. But if your child has been severely alienated from you, you will definitely be feeling a sense of loss. And if you are completely access blocked, you have no idea when you will once again be reunited with your child. So therefore, you're experiencing a lot of grief. And sometimes it's helpful to put a name to what you're feeling. And so within grief, there are those 5 phases. So today we're going to talk a little bit about depression. You're definitely going to feel like you have a great big open wound that you're walking around with. I remember feeling as if my heart, parts of my heart, were just out there wherever my children were that I didn't know, and just being trampled. So you might have feelings like that. Some people call it an amputation of the heart. Some people call it a grief for a living person. There's so many different ways to characterize it, and I'm sure you're feeling them. So there's some important things to do with this depression. If you're going through the phase of grief, what we call depression, you still might be able to get up and go to work, and your work might require that you put on a happy face, and you might be able to do that. But deep in the pit of your stomach, deep in your heart, you feel it's difficult to even take another breath or take another step. And you're feeling depression, but you do not want to be stuck in depression. And there are a couple ways to get out of it. One is to seek medical help. Don't be ashamed, don't be embarrassed. Doctors deal with it all the time. They understand, and they have ways to help you. You can also seek out a therapist, a counselor, a psychologist who knows what parental alienation is really about. It's important that they understand what it is. And if you haven't read or studied Dr. Childress, it's important that you know what it is too. There are so many great experts on the subject that I've studied: Baker and Gottlieb and Warshak and Bone and Childress, and of course it began with Gardner. But it's just very, very important that they understand where parental alienation comes from. And it's important that you understand it too, so that you don't get stuck in false guilt and shame. It definitely comes from a problem on the other side, a problem with the ex who has feelings of great inadequacy and has feelings of fears of abandonment, and therefore they have to make the child reject you and love only them to satisfy their own psychological needs. So very important that you understand that. What's unfortunate is that most people don't really get it. And even your close friends, even your family members, they might be thinking in the back of their head, since they've never gone through it, they might be thinking, there must be something you can do to fix it, or there must be something you did to cause it that's even worse. And so you never know what people are thinking, and oftentimes you might even fear they're thinking it when they're not really thinking it. But this leads to one of the most important things you can do, in addition to what I've already suggested, and that's to find a friend. Very important. Find a good friend who understands, because they've been through it too. And go out and have a good time with them. Take a walk, have a drink, have a cup of coffee, do some laughing with them. They're someone who can help pull you out of it, and you will be helping them as well. We need each other. We need to help each other through this. So one way, a couple ways to find a good friend who's been through it is look for local support groups in your community. You can check even a place like Yahoo or meetups.com. Often we'll have groups of alienated parents who meet together. That's a great way to touch base face to face with someone who's gone through what you're going through, or is in the middle of it too, like you. And another way is, we thankfully live in this wonderful time of online communities and online support groups. And so, even from within an online connection, you might be able to find a real life connection. There are plenty of groups that are, dedicated to providing support to parents of alienated parents, and within those groups, there's even different regions. Some of the groups are dedicated to certain areas of the country. And within those groups, you might find someone within your own city and state, or someone within your own county. And so if you look and try to have a private conversation with someone who's nearby enough that you can meet together and, like I said, go for a walk or have a drink or have a cup of coffee, a great friendship can ensue. And it will be someone who isn't going to be judging you. Very important to have real life connections with people who have been through what you're going through. So, my advice today is to find a friend.